Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going deep on this really fascinating concept called Ikigai. It's a Japanese idea that's all about finding your reason for being.
Right.
And get this, it's been linked to people living longer, happier lives.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It really is. And to help us unpack it all, we're going to be looking at this book,
Okay.
Ikigai, The Japanese Secret to a Long and Happy Life.
Yeah, I love that book.
It's by Héctor García and Francesc Miralles. And it's jam-packed with stories and insights about how people are really living out this idea of Ikigai. We're talking centenarian yoga instructors, the secrets of Okinawan fishermen,
Oh, wow.
and even the power of just smiling.
You know, it's funny because when we think of purpose, we often think about our careers.
Right.
But Ikigai is so much bigger than that. It's about finding that joy and meaning in all parts of your life.
Yeah. You know what really struck me when I was reading the book?
What's that?
It wasn't this narrow focus on finding your dream job. It was more about figuring out what makes you excited to get up in the morning.
Exactly. It's about what makes you, you. And speaking of longevity, the book dives into this fascinating idea of Okinawa, Japan being a blue zone.
Oh yeah, I've heard that term, blue zones. What exactly are they again?
Well, picture this.
Yeah.
There are places sprinkled around the globe where people just live way longer than average.
What'd you say?
It's true. And these are what we call blue zones.
Huh? Interesting.
And Okinawa is one of the most famous ones.
So why Okinawa? What's so special about it?
Well, researchers think that the Okinawans' long lifespans are actually connected to a strong sense of Ikigai.
Whoa, wait.
Yeah.
So you're saying having a reason to jump out of bed in the morning could help you live longer?
It's definitely a possibility. The connection is there.
That's wild. Okay, but before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's back up for a second.
Sure.
What exactly is Ikigai?
Right. Well, it can sound kind of abstract at first, but the book breaks it down into these four main elements. It's about what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can get paid for.
So it's like finding that sweet spot.
Yes.
Where your passions and talents and values and even your job all come together.
You got it. It's like this perfect Venn diagram.
I'm seeing it.
Where everything just clicks into place.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's not just about raking in the cash or even just loving what you do, right? It's about something deeper.
It is.
Finding that purpose where all the pieces fit.
Exactly. And when all those elements come together, you get this awesome sense of fulfillment and motivation that can seriously impact every area of your life.
That's pretty powerful stuff. Now, the book also dives into these four core themes connected to Ikigai.
It does, yes.
Can you break those down for us?
Absolutely. So first up, we've got purpose.
Okay, that makes sense.
This is all about knowing why you're here, what you want to do with your life. Maybe it's being super creative, helping your community, or even just being an awesome parent, you know?
I think deep down, we all want that.
Yeah.
That sense of purpose.
Totally.
Like our lives have meaning.
Absolutely. Okay, so next on the list is well-being.
Okay, so not just physically, but mentally and emotionally too, right?
You got it. So we're talking taking care of your body, eating healthy and all that.
Yeah.
But also taking care of your mind, maybe trying meditation or finding ways to chill out.
It's all connected, isn't it?
Totally. You can't really live a fulfilling life if you're always stressed and burnt out.
Couldn't agree more. What's the next theme?
Okay, so then we have community.
Okay.
This one highlights how important it is to feel connected to others.
That makes sense.
Whether it's your family, friends, or even just a group you belong to.
I think that's especially important nowadays, you know?
Yeah.
With everyone feeling so isolated.
You're right.
Like, we're more connected than ever through technology, but sometimes it feels like those real face-to-face connections are fading away.
It's a real paradox, isn't it?
It is.
But those strong social bonds are so important.
Yeah.
Not just for happiness, but for a longer life too, according to the book.
Really? Wow. It's what our connections with others are a key ingredient for a good life.
They really are. Okay, ready for the fourth theme?
Get me with it.
This one is flow.
Flow.
You know, like when you get so absorbed in something, you totally lose track of time.
Oh, yeah. I know that feeling.
Right. It could be anything. A hobby, a project, even just a good conversation.
Totally. It's like being in the zone.
It is. And the book says that finding those activities that put you in that flow state is a big part of Ikigai. It's about finding what makes you come alive, you know?
I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. How purpose, well-being, community, and flow all fit together to create this life that's full of meaning.
You're getting it. It's not just one thing.
Right.
It's a bunch of things that all contribute to that sense of fulfillment.
I love how the book uses real stories to illustrate these ideas.
Me too.
It makes it so much more relatable.
Right. Like, remember that story about Sekichi Ohara, the 100-year-old yoga instructor?
Oh, wait, 100-year-old yoga instructor.
100. He is amazing.
I can barely touch my toes.
Haha. Well, he is proof that it's never too late to chase your passions.
Maybe there's hope for me yet. What other stories really stood out to you?
Well, the story of the Okinawan fishermen was pretty powerful.
I remember that one.
For them, their work isn't just a job. It's their whole life. They're fishing, laughing, connecting with nature.
It sounds so idyllic.
It does, doesn't it? It's a stark contrast to how a lot of us experience work today.
Big time. Stressed out, disconnected.
Exactly. It shows how fulfilling work can be when it aligns with your Ikigai.
Definitely. Oh, and what about that story about smiling?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That one was so simple, yet so profound.
I mean, a whole story about smiling.
I know. But the book talks about this woman who lived to be over 100.
Wow.
And her secret, smiling.
No way.
So simple.
I know. It just goes to show how much those little things can impact our well-being. Okay, I'm making a mental note to smile more.
Good. What about the story about the tea house owner? That one was really moving.
Oh yeah. Hers was all about finding Ikigai in everyday life.
It was.
The way she described making tea, it wasn't just a drink.
Right.
It was this beautiful ritual, this moment of connection.
That's it.
It's a good reminder that we can find Ikigai in the ordinary.
Absolutely. You don't need to be doing something extraordinary to find that sense of meaning.
So we've explored the concept. We've heard some amazing stories.
Yep.
But now the big question.
Uh-oh.
How do we actually find our own Ikigai?
That's the question, isn't it? And that's exactly what we'll be diving into in the next part of our deep dive.
All right, so we're back and ready to dive even deeper into this whole Ikigai thing.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into the nitty-gritty of how we can actually make this work for us.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's one thing to talk about it, but putting it into action, that's the real challenge.
Absolutely, because in the last part, we talked about those 4 key elements. Remember, what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can get paid for.
It's like that sweet spot where everything just clicks.
Right, and we also dug into those core themes. Purpose, well-being, community, and flow.
So we're starting to get a picture of what a life with Ikigai might look like.
Exactly.
And those stories from the book were so inspiring.
Yeah, there was something else.
Especially that 100-year-old yoga instructor. Wow.
I know, right? Talk about motivation.
But now I'm really curious about how we take all this inspiration and actually put it into practice.
Okay, so where do we begin?
Yeah, where do we begin? How do we find our own Ikigai?
Well, the book actually gives some really helpful advice.
Okay, I like the sound of that.
Remember those key questions we talked about before?
Yeah.
About what brings you joy, what you're naturally good at, what the world needs from you.
It's all starting to come back to me now.
It's like this journey of self-discovery where we look inside and figure out what really matters to us, our passions, our values.
Almost like piecing together a puzzle, right?
Yeah, it's about seeing what patterns emerge.
But we don't have to have it all figured out right away, do we?
Definitely not. It's a process, and it can be messy, you know?
That's reassuring because sometimes it feels like we need to have all the answers before we can even start.
It's more about exploring, experimenting, staying curious.
So, okay, we're asking ourselves the big questions, we're reflecting.
Yep.
Now what? How do we take action?
Well, the book talks about this idea of small steps.
The small steps.
Instead of trying to tackle everything at once,
Right.
break down those big, scary goals into smaller, more manageable actions.
Okay, so it's less about having this grand plan and more about just taking that first step.
Exactly. Just start somewhere and the momentum will build from there.
So, like, if you've always wanted to start your own business,
Right.
instead of quitting your job and diving in head first,
Yeah.
maybe you just start by setting aside some time each day to brainstorm ideas.
That's a great example. Or like if you've always wanted to learn a new language, you don't have to become fluent overnight.
Right.
Just commit to practicing a little bit each day.
That's a much less daunting way to look at it.
Right. And as you start taking those small steps, pay attention to how you feel.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
What gets you excited? What makes you feel like you're in that flow state?
Ah, flow state. I remember that.
It's like listening to your gut.
Your intuition.
Yeah, those feelings will guide you towards your Ikigai.
But it's not all about what we do, right?
Yep.
The book also talks a lot about living a healthy lifestyle.
It does. And the Okinawans, they're known for their long lives. And they really prioritize their physical well-being.
So that 100-year-old yoga instructor wasn't just a fluke.
I guess not. But what does a healthy Ikigai lifestyle actually look like?
Yeah, I'm curious about that too.
Well, the book highlights the Okinawan diet, which is packed with vegetables, fruits, whole grains.
Sounds pretty healthy.
It is. And they also emphasize staying active.
Does it have to be anything crazy intense?
Not at all. It's more about finding ways to move your body that you enjoy.
It's funny how that lines up with a lot of the health advice we hear today.
It's like that ancient wisdom is being backed up by modern science.
It's pretty cool, actually.
It is. Because when we take care of ourselves physically, we have more energy and motivation to pursue those things that give our lives meaning.
Like building a solid foundation.
Exactly. So we've talked about self-reflection, small steps, healthy habits. Anything else we should keep in mind on this Ikigai journey?
I think we covered most of it, right?
Well, there's one more thing that really stood out to me.
Okay, what's that?
The importance of community.
Oh yeah, the book talked a lot about that.
Remember those moais the Okinawans have?
Those social support groups, yeah.
They provide companionship and a sense of belonging.
It's like having this built-in network of people who always have your back.
Exactly.
But it's easy to forget about that in our individualistic culture.
It is.
Like, I've read that loneliness can be just as bad for our health as smoking.
It's true. Those connections are crucial.
So how do we make sure we're getting enough of that good stuff?
It doesn't have to be complicated,
What do you mean?
It could be as simple as joining a club, volunteering, or even just calling up a friend more often.
Sometimes it's those little things that make the biggest difference.
Absolutely. And it's not just about how many connections you have.
Okay.
It's about the quality.
Having those deep, meaningful relationships.
Exactly. Those are the ones that really matter.
So we've got purpose, well-being, community. Is there anything else we need to know about Ikigai before we start putting it all into practice? All right, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into Ikigai.
I can't believe we're already here.
It's flown by, hasn't it? But we've covered so much ground.
We have. Those core themes, the inspiring stories.
And we even touched on those key questions to help people start thinking about their own Ikigai.
Yeah, those are good ones.
What you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, what you can be paid for.
It's all about finding that sweet spot.
Absolutely. Plus, we talked about those small steps, healthy habits, and those important social connections.
All key ingredients for a good life.
Definitely. Yeah. But now I'm really curious about how we actually put all this wisdom into action.
Yeah. How do we make Ikigai real in our everyday lives?
Exactly. What are some concrete things we can do?
Well, one tool that's surprisingly powerful is something you probably already have.
I'm intrigued. What is it?
A journal.
A journal. Okay, I know journaling can be helpful for processing your thoughts and stuff.
Yeah.
But how does it connect to Ikigai?
Think of it as this space for self-discovery. A way to really figure out what brings you joy, purpose, all of that.
So it's not just about keeping a diary of events.
Not really, no. It's more about capturing those inner reflections, those aha moments.
Stuff that might slip away otherwise.
Exactly. And there are a few specific practices that can be super helpful when it comes to Ikigai.
Like what?
Well, one that I love is starting each day by writing down 3 things you're grateful for.
Oh, I like that.
It's so easy to forget about all the good stuff when we're rushing around,
It's true. We take so much for granted.
We do. But taking a moment to acknowledge those things, it can really shift your whole perspective.
And set a positive tone for the day.
Exactly. And then at night, you can use your journal to reflect on your day.
Like a little check-in with yourself.
Yeah. Ask yourself, what brought me joy today? What felt meaningful? Even what challenges did I face and how did I handle them?
It's like having a conversation with yourself. Getting to know yourself better.
It is. Yeah. And as you do this, you'll start noticing patterns.
Oh, interesting.
Things that consistently make you feel good and things that drain your energy.
Those are really valuable clues when you're trying to figure out your Ikigai.
They are. But what about those bigger goals, those dreams you have?
Yeah. Can journaling help with that too?
For sure. That's where intention setting comes in.
Okay.
Take some time to really think about what you want to create in your life.
Like what kind of impact you want to make.
Exactly. What's your why? And once you have that clarity, you can start breaking those big dreams down into smaller steps.
More manageable chunks.
Right. Write them down in your journal and commit to taking action, even if it's just one small step each day.
It's like creating a roadmap for your Ikigai journey.
Love that analogy.
Yeah.
And remember, it's okay if your goals change over time.
Right. Because life is always changing.
It is. The important thing is to keep moving forward.
Even if it's just one tiny step at a time.
Exactly. But what about when we hit a roadblock, you know?
Yeah, those moments when you feel stuck or discouraged.
It happens to everyone.
So how do we stay motivated on this Ikigai journey?
Well, that's where inspiration comes in.
Inspiration.
Surround yourself with people who lift you up, who are living their own Ikigai.
It's like finding your tribe, those people who get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And don't underestimate the power of stories.
Stories.
Yeah. Read books, watch documentaries, listen to podcasts. Fill your mind with stories of people who are living amazing, purposeful lives.
It's like those stories can give us permission to dream big.
They can. And don't be afraid to reach out to mentors, coaches, people who can guide you.
Having someone who believes in you can make all the difference.
It can. It's all about building that support system.
Both internal and external.
Exactly. Because let's be real, this journey isn't always easy.
There are going to be ups and downs.
For sure. There will be times when you feel lost, confused, maybe even frustrated.
It's like any journey worth taking, right?
It is. But those challenges, they help us grow. They make us stronger.
It's in those tough moments that we discover what we're really made of.
Exactly. And remember, it's not about achieving some perfect state of happiness.
Yeah.
It's about embracing the whole experience, the good and the bad, and finding meaning in it all.
And that's where Ikigai comes in.
It does. It's like a compass that keeps us pointed in the right direction.
It's such a beautiful concept.
It is.
This has been such an inspiring conversation. But before we go, do you have any final words of wisdom for our listeners?
Well, I would ask you this. If you could wake up tomorrow and do anything you wanted, what would it be?
Ooh, good question.
And what's one small step you can take today to make that happen?
I love that.
Yeah.
So much to think about.
Your Ikigai is out there, waiting to be discovered.
Go find it. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Ikigai.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you feel inspired to start living a life that's full of purpose, joy, and meaning.
And remember, keep diving deep.
We'll see you next time.